Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz Interview Series with New York City jazz trumpeter and composer Michael Sarian on his new 2022 CD, After the Rain. As New York City was reawakening after a year of lockdown, spring was in full bloom and a sense of renewal was in the air. Familiar sounds, which had remained distant for so long, were again within ear's reach, were working their way back into the fold. And that's the backdrop for this new album and the world we are now living in. We cover that and so much more. Enjoy this interview.
So the one thing I know about the previous interview is, there was relief getting new material out. There has to be relief with getting new material out right now as the world kind of opens up and wakes up and things are starting to happen. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, it's always great to kind of, I think just release stuff regardless of the situation. But I think now the fact that we're able to actually go out and play and do stuff like that, it's all the more, satisfying and better to be able to share it with people in a more personal way.
I guess my next question is, with the new album, what was the artistic approach to this one versus the previous one? I mean, do you see it as an evolution, and especially living through the times we're going through, was there something more specific you were going for?
During the pandemic, I mean, not still, I guess, but at the beginning, I started getting more into, free improvisation, more experimental stuff here at home. Being able to negotiate what I was doing before with that, and just producing something at home that I wanted to kind of that reflected what I was living through, with the sounds and everything, and the kind of the hopeful feeling of everything that was beginning of April, May 2021 when things started to open up again.
What are you hoping ultimately the listener gets from this? I mean, there's so many things that go into the process, but ultimately, when someone buys or downloads and they sit back, what are you hoping they get?
At this stage, I'm kind of, this very is like a pandemic project, like a release. It's kind of, now we're getting so many of those, and I'm kind of hesitant to say that's what it is, but it is what it is. I can't, escape that. And I think what we're living through now, I kind of did this a year ago. Different, we're, everyone's in a different mindset. So if nothing else, kind of remember how lucky we are, how hard 2020 was, and then when in the early spring of 2021 things started to open up, kind of remember how that felt, the hope, the freedom, the new freedoms that we have where we can go do things, and I don't know, just kind of feel a bit lifted, if that all makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. And I guess with that in mind, we may have touched on parts of this before, but I think more hyper specifically, now that we're kind of looking at the back end of this thing, what did you learn about yourself over this time that's going to make you stronger as you get out and play more shows and promote new material?
Definitely that there's more possibilities. Music and creating is there's a way broader spectrum to that than what I understood before. You kind of, now enjoying playing within that new understanding of what music can be and what I can do musically, So I think it's just going to be a more, I don't know, I definitely feel like I grew as a musician, as a trumpet player, as someone that can hear things and share things. I feel like there's more to share now.
So what was the last live show that you played?
The last live show that I played, let me look at my calendar. We just had a bunch of Easter gigs, right?
What were the crowds like? What was the appreciation? Did it feel different?
Yeah, I feel like in a certain sense, things are kind of almost back to normal. The calendar is looking, full, especially because the summer is going to be really busy. But, for example, this specific Easter gig, it was their first time celebrating Easter in the church in 2 years, having a vigil. And it was the first time having musicians in the church in 2 years. So everyone was very happy about that, for sure. And I think just in a broader it's almost back to normal where, I'll play some gigs and it'll be kind of empty, and I'll play another gig and it'll be full, but usually people are very happy. They're, everyone's kind of feeling very happy to be back indoors or outdoors, not just with music, because there was always to some degree, live music, even when it was, COVID was at its height, there was always something. But now it's almost back to the normal pace of it, where there's always something to experience and listen to in New York City. So I think people are excited about that,
I guess that's another part of this, as we do start coming back and more people come back more and more. What do you hope we all realize about the true power of live music as we get back to it?
I hope that people, don't take it for granted. I think we're seeing that, especially at the level we're working at, I think people are not taking it for granted. They're appreciative. They realize how much of a blessing it is to be able to share music in the same space. And I hope people realize, by the same token, I hope people realize the worth of music and live music and creating art, and that it doesn't just happen in a void, that everyone needs to be part of it, and it needs to be part of a community way broader than just the people on stage.
After the Rain, new album, it comes out officially May 6th.
Yeah.
If you want to let everybody know kind of the best way and place to get the brand new album and any live gigs, anything related to your world that people can get.
Of course, best way is always, Bandcamp. It's always the best way to support musicians, independent musicians. Bandcamp. You go to Bandcamp, download. If you dig the music, you can download it. There's some merch. I have a limited edition cassette for this release, and there's a bunch of all my music is on Bandcamp. So whether it's my music or anyone else's that you want to support, head over there, and then stream on Spotify, on Apple Music, on anything else that you kind of consume music on, and then share. That's always like the best. That's whenever I want to support someone the most, I go to Bandcamp, kind of purchase whatever they have, then share it on my socials, and then stream it so that I'm kind of getting the trifecta of support for independent musicians. And then anyone can head over to my website, michaelsarian.com. I have a bunch of shows coming up in the city and in the United States and Canada as well. I'm playing Chelsea Table and Stage in June with my quartet. I'm playing at Culture Lab next month in May with my quartet as well, with a bunch of special guests. I'll be in Canada at the Calgary Folk Fest, Fort Langley Jazz Festival, Pearson Park in August with Jazz 4 March Summer Series. So it's going to be a busy summer. So if anyone digs the music, if anyone wants to come see me perform, michaelsarian.com is one-stop shop for calendar dates for sure.
Right on, Michael. Hey, thank you again for taking some time out. Good luck with the new album. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Michael for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. And for everything Joe Domino related, go to joedomino.com. And if you feel like it, kick in a few bucks for the Neon Jazz cause. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.